I guess I don't have to ask, but you guys do know there's a hockey game on tonight, right? So, I'll try to be as quick as I can. That said, I got an awful lot of stuff to get through. When Eli first asked me about presenting, I thought, great, I can get up on my soapbox and talk about business intelligence. And then I realized I had to build a soapbox a couple weeks ago. So this is maybe a little rough around the edges. It's the first time I've given this particular presentation, so bear with me. A little bit about me. It's kind of funny, Eli was talking about how long the group's been in existence. This is actually my second meeting to the group. The first was in November 2006. It's just in kind of a tricky location for me, but I remember, I think it was in the same spot. We were back in the other corner, and Eli was leading. I still have a coffee mug from it. Mm-hmm. And that's just when we were starting Unlimited Viz.
Thanks for coming back.
Oh, hey. Better late than never, right? I've been about 20 years in the IT space, which makes me seasoned, I like to think. I come from a background starting out with basic networking, and then got into Lotus Notes for quite some time. Played around in the early 2000s with Java and open source technologies. Worked with SharePoint since, in one way or another, since about 2001. And as I mentioned, we formed Unlimited Viz in 2006, and we focused exclusively on SharePoint at that time. And I'm just going to call on, I've got the senior members of our team here, Ed, Martina, and Andre. So, hi to them, so they can back me up if the tomatoes start coming. I was awarded MVP status in January, and I was quite happy about that. Personally, I'm a father of 3 boys, an avid gardener, and big time into diving and underwater photography. So if you wanted to get me going, ask me later to show you my diving pictures, and you'll never get to see them. So in putting this together, I had a number of goals in mind. BI to me is really misunderstood out there, be it in the context of SharePoint or otherwise. So if you can come away with anything from this, you'll understand BI a little bit better. You'll understand, hopefully, where it fits within the SharePoint world. I want you to be comfortable with the tools that are out there, and it's not exactly clear what tools are used for what, especially in the Microsoft stack. Some of the other competitive vendors are a little more clear, at least with their branding, as to what you need. Microsoft tools tend to be, in pieces all over the place. So I'm going to hopefully gather a few of those together and show you. I'm going to focus on demonstrations tonight, as long as everything stays connected. Quick little hello world type of demonstrations, not real world best practices. I hopefully will be able to talk about best practices a little bit along the way. I want to talk about a few rules of thumb when designing BI systems. That said, they are just rules of thumb. There are really no hard and fast rules when it comes to this stuff. As with SharePoint, someone says, how do you do this with SharePoint? Well, there's this, well, there's that. It's the same thing with BI, and everything I say, and every time I emphatically state that this must be the case, there will be an exception to that rule, so keep that in mind. As I mentioned before, I want to help you understand where at least we see SharePoint fitting within the whole spectrum of BI, and I think it's in a rather exciting place. And again, just to help you get BI. So along the way, please feel free to just jump in and ask any questions if you have any as we go along. I thrive on feedback, so hopefully it doesn't take us off track too long, and I know you want to get to the game. Just a rough agenda tonight. I need to go through some slides, a little bit of marketing type slides, just to clear up a few definitions. Explain what BI is all about. Then I'm just going to run through a series of demonstrations. And hopefully if we have time, I was hoping we could get to a Q&A phase where if you're looking at some BI projects or if you're looking at some scenarios you'd like to solve, maybe you could throw them up this way, and between me and everyone else who's here, maybe we can come up with a couple of rough designs for you to work through. All right? So what is BI? In essence, the way I see it, there's lots of systems out there that are interested in gathering data, capturing data, organizing data, manipulating data. Those are kind of input-facing or input-based systems. I see BI or BI tools as almost anything that can help you get information out. It's kind of the other direction. BI used to go by another name. Does anybody know what the original name of BI was back in the old?
DSS.
Bingo. Decision Support Systems. And decision support, and in many, many ways, I think it's a better name, certainly a more descriptive name to what BI is. A BI tool is anything that's going to help you make a better decision. And just along those lines, can anybody tell me what the most common BI tool there is out there?
Excel.
Bingo, right? That's the tool that everybody, it's not anything from Cognos, it's not any of the reporting tools that are out there, although all the reporting tools call themselves BI systems. It's Excel. It's what everybody uses to get their job done. Another very commonly misunderstood principle about BI is where you get your data from. And I think this is the fault of an awful lot of reporting vendors, and certainly the people who package reporting systems that go against specific backends or specific products. They call it BI, but they're going directly against that source database. And why wouldn't you want to go against source data? And then, you know, I'm sure this isn't going to be a new concept to some of you in the room, but it may be a new concept to others. When you're going against back-end data that is basically the back-end for a transactional style system, an ERP system, for example, that system is designed for transactions first and foremost. It's highly relational, it's highly normalized, which makes it a bad candidate for reporting against. Reporting likes denormalized data to a large degree, flattened out. Running a report against that data is not only a bad experience for the person doing the reporting, you're also slowing that system down for the people who are using the ERP system. So performance is a big reason to separate your data, move it into another location. Security is another one. The security requirements of an ERP system are often completely different than what the reporting security requirements are. And it's rarely a good idea to give people direct access to the back-end database of a source system. So separating your data from the source system and out into the reporting system is a good idea from a security standpoint. Complexity is a big one, and this goes hand in hand with our performance and our highly normalized situation. Who here works with Great Plains? Anyone? No, nobody else here works with Great Plains? I just throw Great Plains out as an example because it's got at least 1,000 tables in its in any one of its implementations. The tables are named such wonderful names like P0023. I don't really want to throw database schemas like that at end users. It's highly complex to build reports and get information out of systems like that. If I can separate my data out, I can design the schema again of my reporting system such that it's a little more intuitive to the end users who are going to consume that data. And finally, simply the query design. When I'm writing reports against denormalized data, the queries are a lot less complex. And another basic principle is multidimensional analysis requires multidimensional tools. Sure, I can take a flat data source, pull it into Excel, and run a pivot table against that. How many people have used pivot tables? Just so, okay, I'm talking to half the room. Sure, you can do that. But when my data starts to live in different tables and there's complex relationships, Excel not only gets difficult to use, but it bogs down pretty quickly. And what you need is an engine that's built to support that multidimensional analysis. So to run through a few terms, data warehouse and a data mart. And I haven't really mentioned those earlier. When I talk about moving the data from the source system into another system, I'm talking about moving it from the source into a data warehouse or a data mart, or maybe both, okay? What's the difference between a data warehouse and a data mart? That's a little more confusing. And does anybody here have a definition?
One's smaller than the other.
One's smaller than the other. That's true. Likely true, actually. I like to look at it just based on their names. If you look at retail, you've got marts, which are basically retail stores, and you've got warehouses where you keep the products. They're both concerned with moving products out, right, from in to out, but they have different design points. The warehouse is designed for organizing